Green crack. I know I don't have to hold it in that long, but it's force of habit. Back in the 70s, people would, turn blue trying to hold it in. Not sure what's going on outside. I'm sure the dogs will take care of it while we do this short video. Anyway, so green crack is the name of this. Some people think it should be called green kush because green crack has a negative connotation. I live in West Tulsa. Green crack seems to be an extremely popular name over here. So yeah, that's what we call it over here. But at Elixir, which is a place over here, a dispensary that I have a personal interest in it going on because it's right around the corner. Not getting paid for that, not getting anything special, just supporting the home team. I guess we'll hear dog barking through all this. The neighbors have gotten used to it, I'm sure, by now. Anyway, today I thought we'd talk about 8-track tapes. And I'm collecting 8-track tapes a little bit. I had 3 years ago. I sold my family home, got what was left. It had been looted, it had been damaged badly. And in the mess, I found 3 8-track tapes. This is broken. It's very white. Excuse me. Something popped up for some reason. Barry White's Greatest Hits on 20th Century. This was my mother's. I kid you not. My mother liked Barry White, and I can't think of his name. The guy that's saying, Lou Rawls, the guy saying, "You'll never find another love like mine," and Isaac Hayes and that kind of voice. Local pickup. This was mine. This was Ohio Players Gold. When I got a bass, the goal was to become a bass player for the Ohio Players. I think it was the Superfly soundtrack that made me a disciple of funk. And this is interesting. It's a blank. It's a Memorex 60 low noise, high output, whatever the hell that meant. Basically, it's a 60-minute 8-track tape blank, and it's still together. I wrote an A on it, and it might be an A tape, like when I was mixing and doing some kind of, stereo effect. I used to do some lo-fi, where you take whatever decks you have. So if I needed a track over here, I'm separated from a track over here, and I had like an 8-track player and a cassette, I would take one track and put it on the 8-track player, put the other on the cassette, put them together into a second cassette player, play them, and you'd get some, kind of Phil Spector, John Lennon echo in it. But that might be what it is. I also recorded things like Dr. Demento, what few times I played. KTBA, which was the Broken Arrow Prague station. Shout out to Brad over at Starship. They used to play the National Lampoon Radio Hour, and I recorded those. So no telling what's on that tape. But then I have these recent acquisitions. And it started with this, and there's a certain beauty to it. It's sometimes I collect, with a sense of simply documenting that this stuff existed. And there's other people like me. That's why this stuff does still exist, but it's really ephemeral. And this is Rudy Ray Moore. If you don't know, Rudy Ray Moore is Dolomite. It's Return of Dolomite. And let's just show you the beautiful, yep. And, I love that 70s lettering. I know you're not getting a good shot here on this cheap webcam of mine, but you get the idea. you know, no brand name. This is a trucker tape because I remember having a Rudy Ray Moore tape. This is like $1.99. Now, this is what fascinates me. What I have here are 4 trucker tapes. I call them trucker tapes because when I was a child, and yes, I know I need to get my glasses adjusted. When I was a child, a lad, when I was like, how old was I? I think I was 13 when I got my first 8-track tape player. The reason I got it was because I was living in Pasco, Oklahoma, which is 45 miles north of Tulsa. And we had, you know, we had an appliance store that had a pretty good selection of hit records and a few classics, but, you know, it came to Tulsa, or there were these trucker tapes, and basically they're counterfeit tapes. I don't call them bootleg because they, well, they were basically just absolute copies of the tape. And they were done for, you could get them for $1.99, $2.99, depending on where you shopped. They were all over the place, and that's where I could had access to things like Levitt Death by Alice Cooper, first Cheech and Chong album, Led Zeppelin Zoso, Jethro Tull Aqualung, Jefferson Airplane, Jefferson Starship, Blue Against the Empire. And dirty stuff like Rudy Ray Moore and Gene Tracy, who did trucker stuff. And these were at truck stops. These were convenience stores. So I got this because to go with as kind of a display piece with my Dolomite Rudy Ray Moore bobblehead. So you see the aesthetic choice I made. And let's see. I have a Rudy Ray Moore album, but I didn't bother to bring it out. Here we have a bootleg of Three Dog Night, the greatest hits, and with this like double exposure of this girl like kind of bent over and with her face crossed over and polka dots. I think it's Salvador Dali. Yeah, that's the edge of it. I think it's Salvador Dali and soft self-portraits. There's one part where he just starts screaming that Americans love dots, 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 and dots fill the screen. It looks like kind of like that. This is another trucker tape, and this is what I mean. This is, you know, I love this artwork, and I don't know how good you can see it. Probably ought to get a better camera. Yeah, somewhere like that. And I believe the scarf here and the color you see in the illustration, somebody drew that in with like a felt pen, like one of those things that came like a stained glass window where you had this opaque material you would color in with a pen and hang up, and it would immediately, you know, fade. But that's what it looks like to me, because I really don't think anyone spot printed this thing. And it's the best of Santana, but it's actually before there was Santana's greatest hits. So yeah, it's kind of like the best of the first 3 albums. And I'm not I don't have a whole lot of knowledge about Santana, but from what I understand, it's a pretty good approximation of what the company would have done. And lastly, here we go. A tribute to the Rolling Stones with a nice off-model Rolling Stone tape right there. I think I can tell who's who. I'm fairly certain it's like Mick, and then behind him is Brian Jones, and then Keith, I think, and then all right, maybe is that supposed to be Lyman? And then I think that's supposed yeah, it gets a little blurry. And Eric Burden's in the back or something. Anyway, it's interesting because I remember what happened. Don't try to use the wrong hand. You're not ambidextrous. I don't know. You get the idea. Oh, and of course, this one has a back. But the thing is, it's a tribute because I remember when this happened, there's a big crackdown on these tapes, and suddenly they started disappearing. So someone came up with the brilliant idea of, let's get a tribute band to cover the Rolling Stones and put that out on tape for $1.99 or $2.99, and nobody will notice the difference. Well, we did. So that lasted very shortly. You'll see a few of them here and there, but if it says a tribute to in minuscule letters and then the Rolling Stones, that's what you got. I acquired these three Santana 3-Dog Night from a friend here in Broken Arrow, Christian Lamb. And yes, that's his real name. And no, that's not what you think of when you actually meet the man. But yeah, he has some other tapes. I kind of pulled all the trucker stuff and kind of becoming more interested in it just for the bizarre artwork. I don't think there's a whole lot of reference on this. It's not like we can go to Discogs and just look it up. And so I know there's some 8-track collectors sites. I've been on them. They're, you know, they're rarities like if you get, you know, Lou Reed, Mill Machine Music, Captain Beefheart, Trout Mask Replica, or Zappa's Lumpy Gravy, which is actually a different mix than what was released on LP eventually. If you got any of that, it's pretty collectible, but still not real sure about that. And do I think it'll go up in value? Yeah. Do I think anyone should be, you know, stocking up on them? I don't know. You know, I was just reading an article about a fellow who invested in hand-painted Ghana movie posters and seems to have quite a nice little business going for himself. So I don't know, but I'm actually collecting them just for aesthetic value. And I feel that eventually they'll probably go up. I mean, there's something kind of folk art about it when you look at, and especially when you get to something like this where you have people drawing, you know, coloring in the artwork. That's folk art for in our urban world, in this urban existence where, you know, whatever cartoon characters and, you know, mythic characters from the movie screen created by Stan Lee are the gods to us, like the gods were to the Greeks. Well, this is the folk art for today. So anyway, that's my little lecture on 8-tracks. I don't know, you know, I'm not necessarily recommending that, you know, any of you start collecting them, but food for thought. Anyway, that's what we're going for today. Join me on the Wilhelm channel on YouTube. Subscribe to it, like it. This is a freebie out here on YouTube or on Facebook today. So many damn platforms, I can't even keep them straight. I think I did something on Instagram, but I can't be sure. There was some Russian troll. Anyway, stay around and I'll be back.